Yeah, so let's go ahead and kick this thing off with Treasure Road. Oh, by the way, before we really get into this, I do want to say we are going to be continuing Resident Evil 9. I thought about for a while, man. I'm not even going to lie, because I've just been like kind of effing around lately with games and stuff. I don't want to get into this tonight because it's super silly Saturday. We got to keep things light. We got to keep things fun. Um, but and I won't usually be doing these Letterboxd recaps on super silly Saturdays, but still. Um, Uh, we're gonna continue Resident Evil 9 on stream. I have not really played it very much. I played it on my Switch 2 some, and it looks great, by the way. Jeez Louise. Like, I know what the internal resolution is, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty impressed. Because I think on handheld it's 360p usually, and it does not look it. It looks very clear. It's very impressive. You know, like the original Switch, it would look like a blurry mess. This does not look like a blurry mess. This looks very good. It's definitely like, lowest settings, but it's still pretty dope, man. I am impressed. I liked it. Um anyway, so but I didn't even get to the part where I left off on the Switch version. So like on the PC version. So we're going to continue that on probably Tuesday. I think Monday we'll do the Monday Night Macabre. I'm not sure if I'm going to stream Sunday night. It depends on what I'm able to get edited to put up on the channels on Monday. Um, but I really did think about just playing it. I do know all the spoilers at this point, though. I couldn't wait. I was like, I'm not really playing this right now. I'm not really streaming right now, but I want to see what's going on with it. So I've been watching some people play. Well, at least I watched like some like cutscene stuff and everything. I didn't really watch too much gameplay stuff because I want to keep that a surprise. Anyway, but I really thought about just playing it off stream and then just doing like an insanity run on stream if I ever started streaming again. Because I'm not gonna lie, I almost was about to not do this anymore. And just not do videos anymore and not do really anything anymore. To be honest with you, I was very much like gonna just. We'll talk about it like on Monday, but I was very much gonna just be like, I'm done with doing anything creative at all. I'm just gonna find myself an okay job that pays decently, like not even like the greatest, but just something I can do for like the heck of it, and just, you know, do that, and then go see movies when I want to, and like play video games when I feel like it, and just that was gonna be my life. And I decided, no thanks, bro. No shade to anyone who wants to live their life like that, where they just kind of go to work and like, you know, come home and relax and do that stuff. That's fine, no shade at all. That's perfectly valid. Because like I said, I almost did that. And I lived that kind of life for a long time, and I just don't want to do that. I want to be an entertainer. I want to entertain people, whether it be with stories or with live streams or whatever. But we'll talk about more on Monday. I really was, because I got some stuff that I want to talk about that I just don't want to do on super silly Saturday, where we're gonna have some fun. Especially because I'm gonna have a gummy bear soon. I didn't want to do it while we were talking about the letterbox stuff. But anyway, okay. So what I want to do is I want to read what I wrote. So what I want to do for these letterbox recaps is I want to read what I wrote on the letterbox review, and then just kind of talk about the movie a little bit. Uh, it'll vary on what I have to say, but I kicked off March with a rewatch of Jurassic World Rebirth because my mom hadn't seen it, and I was just kind of looking for something that I could put on that just, gonna pass time basically. So let me read this. I watched this on March 2nd. So back in 2002, my favorite game was Dino Crisis 2 on the OG PlayStation. And after my third or fourth playthrough, I remember my dad took me to see Eight-Legged Freaks in theaters. What a pull! I should rewatch that. After that unforgettable night, ScarJo has long been my fan cast pick to star in a Dino Crisis movie, which I genuinely can't believe hasn't been adapted yet, considering how much money the Mila Jovovich, or maybe it's Jovovich, RE movies made. So seeing her in a Jurassic Park movie as an adult is kind of a surreal experience. Anyway, this is a pretty good movie, certainly better than Dominion and the first Jurassic World. Wish I had seen it in 4DX back when it was in theaters for that T-Rex raft sequence alone. I remember I had planned on seeing it in 4DX, and I'm not going to lie, if this gets a re-release in 4DX, or really any Jurassic Park movie gets a re-release in 4DX, I will do that. Which one is it? Is it the first movie where they're like, think of it as kind of a ride? I think Hammond says that or something. Anyway, I listen. How long have I been streaming? Because I don't want to swear too early. I think I already said the S word. Oh, we're 18 minutes in. Okay, cool. I fuck with this movie pretty hard. I think I here's the thing. You know what's funny with it when it comes to these Jurassic Park movies and Jurassic World as well. I tend to like kind of diverge a lot from people. I like the original Jurassic Park trilogy quite a bit. Jurassic Park 3 is definitely the weakest one, but I have a good time with it. I think Jurassic Park The Lost World, or The Lost World Jurassic Park, whichever way you say it, I like that movie quite a bit. And from like a filmmaking standpoint, not like necessarily a storytelling standpoint, but from a filmmaking standpoint, that movie's very, very good. And I know people get really weird about like the gymnastics sequence and stuff, but I'm like, well, they set it up in the movie. This is like, it would be weird for them to talk about how she does gymnastics and how she got cut from the team, and then she doesn't do anything cool to defend herself using her gymnastic skills. It's a Chekhov's gun thing. That's just good screenwriting. You know what I mean? I know people get really weird about it for some reason. I'm like, I mean, I feel like you could do that. I mean, like, granted, we don't really know how dinosaurs would react to something like that. So, it is what it is. I'm digressing a little bit here, but when it comes to Jurassic World movies, I do like the first one a decent amount. Especially when it first came out, I really, really liked it quite a bit. I was like, heck yeah, man, Jurassic Park's back. Dinos are back, baby. But over time, I've kind of soured on that movie because it really is just kind of like regurgitating a lot of stuff in it, and just like story wise and everything, and not even story wise. I don't necessarily need a good story with these movies, but like the characters and stuff. I'm like, I don't really, you know, like any of these characters, and then also like one character. I don't necessarily mind if like there's just a really mean spirited death in Jurassic World, the first one, that feels tonally out of sync with the franchise. I know I think it's the first. I can't remember her name, the actress's name, but the babysitter chick from Jurassic World gets a horrific death, and I know she's like the first woman in the franchise to get killed by a dinosaur, I believe, and she actually was like down for it. And it is a really cool death. It just feels out of sync with the rest of the movie. Like if the rest of the movie had like really violent, crazy dinosaur kills like that, I'd be cool with it. But like, man, it feels like it's unintentionally like sexist in a way. You know what I mean? Funny enough, it totally like should not be seen that way. You know what I mean? Because like she was down with it, the director was down with it. They're not doing it in like any kind of like fuck women kind of way or anything like that. But like, I just, if you don't know that going into it or anything like that, there's just something weird about that death. You know what I mean? That just sticks out. You're like, what the hell? It would be like if they finally decided to kill off one of the kids in one of these movies, and like it was like just the most violent, up death that they could think of, and you're like, oh, why'd they do it like that for? That's crazy. Um, so it is what it is. So I do like the first one, and seeing like the what was the Indoraptor and stuff fight the T-Rex, like the Velociraptor and the T-Rex team up to fight the Indoraptor. That stuff's like, look, man, it's just fun. You know what I mean? I don't mind something that's like fun and goofy like that. That movie works for me for the most part. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, though, I like that movie quite a bit. I like that one a lot. That one's a really fun one because you get like the fun island stuff, but then you also get this really cool, like almost. As a matter of fact, I got something on in the back. I think it's Frankenstein versus the Wolfman is on TV right now. I usually leave this on the Universal Monsters channel, to be honest, especially when I'm streaming. But hopefully you guys can't hear it. It should be low enough to where I can hear it, but you guys can't. But anyway, I like having some background noise. Anyways, then the second half of that movie feels like a classic Universal monster movie, and also I love the way that movie's lit, and I love the way that J.A. Bayona directed it as well. He's such a better filmmaker than Colin Trevorrow. I think that's also why I like Jurassic World Rebirth a lot as well, is because it is Gareth Edwards, right? Let me see real quick. Or is it Gareth Evans? Gareth Edwards. Okay, I always get them mixed up. Gareth Evans does the Raid movies, and everything. But yeah, I just think that guy's a really great filmmaker. Story-wise, he's not always the best, but visually speaking, man, and he knows how to frame a scene. He just really gets it. I will say I expected him to pull more out of the Spielberg toolbox for this one. like he did for Godzilla 2014. But I also understand he didn't really want to repeat himself too much, so I get that. I do kind of hope he gets the next one. I know this one didn't hit a billion, but it still hit a lot. I think this would have hit a bit if it wasn't for the fact that like I think what was it? Didn't it come out the same month as like Superman and the Fantastic Four? Didn't all three of them hit the same month? What a ridiculous, dumb thing to do, by the way. Everyone always is talking about how like this one, this Jurassic World movie, and like Superman and Fantastic Four didn't perform as well as they should have at the box office, but they all came out in the within like a couple weeks of each other. And like I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I legit I think we've been in an economic crisis for a little bit now. People ain't got money like that. You know what I mean? So they have to like pick and choose. I think most families were like, yeah, let's go see Jurassic World, right? Jurassic World or Superman. That's why those two ended up making the most money out of the three. So I do hope he kind of gets to do a next one, and I hope that they bring these cast members back as well. I would love to see ScarJo, Jonathan. Oh my goodness, what's his name? Jonathan Bailey and Mahershala Ali back. Rupert Friend won't be back for obvious reasons. But yeah, I do hope that they bring those three back. So I did like them quite a bit together. And like I said, it's cool to see ScarJo in this movie. But yeah, I like this one, man. I think people were being really weirdly harsh on this. It's a lot of fun, and you get some mutant dinosaur freaks in there. I love seeing some freaks. The freaks are in, baby. But yeah, I mess with this one quite a bit. It's pretty fun. I'm not gonna watch it like all the time, and I do wish I had seen it in 4DX. I think if I ever get the opportunity to see this one in 4DX, I will go. I actually saw that there's a theater nearby me that's playing Jurassic Park soon because they got some Spielberg classics going on. I think I'm gonna try to see some of them, but I'm not gonna be able to see Jurassic Park, unfortunately. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth. Then after that, a couple days later, I got tickets to see The Bride, a movie that I liked more. At first, I rated this 3 stars, and then I eventually was like, nah, it's more 2.5. So this is a movie that like the people who like this movie are gonna like it. Let me put it this way: it's not a big super box office hit the way that I think Warner Brothers was expecting it to be. However, I can see this being like having a really good a really good reputation further down the line. I can see this being close to, well, because it's about Frankenstein, but I can see this being a cult classic like something like Frankenhooker or the Rocky Horror Picture Show, or even like Speed Racer. I think would be like considered a cult classic at this point. Funny enough, I've had Speed Racer on the brain lately. For some reason, I want to rewatch it. I think it's coming out on 4K soon. Anyway, but yeah, I like this one kind of. I'm really mixed on it. I'll get into it in a minute. So I wrote at the time, well, Maggie Gyllenhaal certainly ain't no Casey at bat, because this movie is chock full of huge swings. Unfortunately, that leads to a lot of strikes. But man, when this hits, it hits. I do wish I vibed with this more, but I got a whole lot of respect for something willing to lay it all on the line the way this movie does. Also, I legit could watch an entire movie of Christian Bale's Frankie watching movies. He's just like me, for real, for real. Yeah, so that's the other thing that's interesting about this movie. So I did see some of the discourse with this one. I did see that Critical Drinker, of course, had to, talk trash about it because, when a movie like this comes out and it doesn't get good reviews, especially because this one is a very like capital F feminism, I am woman, hear me roar kind of movie. It's easy for a grifter like Critical Drinker to come out and make a dumb video about it where he's saying a bunch of BS. As a matter of fact, I remember watching it, or no, I think I watched the Birdman talk about it, and there's a moment where like Drinker just straight up lies about what happens in the movie because he can't help but spoil these movies. But he just straight up lies about what happens in it, and I was like, what are you doing, bro? That's irresponsible. You know what I mean? And it baffles me that dude has millions of followers, man, and gets so many views. But anyway, so like I said, I kind of like this one because it's Maggie Gyllenhaal taking a lot of big swings. And you know what movie it reminds me of, actually? It's the one Darren Aronofsky did, Mother, with Jennifer Lawrence. Where I like Mother a lot better than this one. But I remember Darren Aronofsky at the time, he did some interviews and stuff, and he said that he wrote that movie in like a fever dream type thing. He was just like blah blah blah, writing it really really hard and stuff. And he, I think Maggie Gyllenhaal approached this script with the same energy. And I'll just go ahead and spoil something that is in the movie. So, if you want to watch this, maybe skip ahead. But it literally is the first thing that happens in the movie. Jesse Buckley's character in this is not just someone who dies and then gets resurrected. She also is possessed by the spirit of Mary Shelley, but then her fictional character that she wrote exists in the established real world of this movie as well. Hang on, my cat wants out. Hang on one second, guys. Go ahead, bud. Go ahead. And yeah, like I said, exists in the Frankenstein, the fictional character that she wrote in that book, exists in the established real world of this movie as well. And if you hear that and you are thinking to yourself, huh? What? Yeah, that is just such a baffling decision. And the movie, I actually think, for me, man, it would have raised it like maybe a whole star if that aspect wasn't in the movie. I really, and it also makes Jessie Buckley's performance, who I think, once again, Jessie Buckley in this one, she's really swinging for the fences, and I know she just won the Oscar for Best Actress for Hamnet, totally deserved. I think Jessie Buckley's a wonderful actress. I think she's actually in one of those Dark Picture games, isn't she? Because that's so funny to think about, in my opinion. And I think Lashana Lynch is in the next one. That's crazy, dude. How do they get these phenomenal actors in these games, man? I mean, don't get me wrong. No shade to those games. Those games are good, but I'm just saying, it is nuts to think that they get those level, that caliber of actor in those games. It's insane. Anyway, that's just where look how far gaming has come. Anyway, but I have a lot of respect for this movie's gusto or gumption or whatever, because they're really going for it. Like I said, it's easy for somebody like Critical Drinker, or I'm sure Nerddrotic had something to say about it as well, or Yellow Flash, any of those alt-right grifters who don't actually like movies, who are just doing it so they can make a lot of money. Anyway, they this is an easy movie for them to pick on. Let me just put it that way, just because it's not super good. Even people who normally like stuff like this, like people who I follow on Letterboxd, along with some critics who I follow as well, are like, yeah, I mean, this one's kind of all over the place. It really is. It's a really all over the place movie, but I do still kind of like it. I'm actually kind of looking forward to when I can watch it at home on HBO Max or something with my mom or my uncle or whoever wants to watch it with me, because there's some interesting stuff in here. I think both stylistically as well as how Maggie Gyllenhaal directs things and performance wise. Like I said, Jessie Buckley's very good in this. But the standout for me honestly was Christian Bale's Frankie, because this easily could have been incel coded. You know what I mean? And he's not. He's a very caring, thoughtful individual. It would have been easy considering the themes of this movie, the capital T themes of this movie. It would have been really easy for Maggie Gyllenhaal to just be yeah, and Frankenstein is a loser incel in this or whatever. But, the creature is not a loser incel, right? He's a very, caring, nice... I know, in the book and stuff, he murders people, but anyway, you know what I mean. He's a complex character. He's not some weird, gross incel guy or whatever who hates women and, thinks women are treated him badly or some shit like that. Everyone treats him badly because he looks different. You know what I mean? He's hideous and horrifying and blah, blah, blah. And there is a really cool musical number in this that really just comes out of nowhere. I think if the movie had more moments like that, I would have liked it more. But, it's really all over the place, dude. I don't really get why it's like this. You know what I mean? It really could have been cleaned up. And I saw that there's apparently multiple cuts of this movie. I think even Maggie Gyllenhaal herself, from what I understand, isn't super happy with the end result as far as the edit goes. So, it'll be interesting to see if over time, if a new edit comes out, or some kind of director's cut or something. You know what I mean? I don't think this movie's worth writing off completely. However, I can totally understand why people aren't really vibing with it. You know what I mean? I don't even really vibe with it all that much, but I do. There's aspects of it that I like, but overall, I think this is a big swing and a miss. But at least she took the swings. You know what I mean? At least she took the swings, and that's what's important. I think anyway. Because like, who gives a shit if she burned like a bunch of money at the studio who's about to be bought by Ellison's Paramount. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. All right. Now, then, the next day, because my uncle was awake early enough before he went to work and stuff. Or when did I watch? When was March 6th? What day of the week was that? I don't remember. Anyway, we watched War Machine. Me and my uncle, we really like Jack Reacher. We really like. I like Alan Richardson a lot. You know, from his time on Smallville as Aquaman, which James Gunn. There's your Aquaman. Or actually, I would like to see him play Booster Gold because I also liked him in a show called Blue Mountain State. And Alan Richardson has some really good comedic chops that I think would work really well for Booster Gold quite a bit. Because I know the only reason I'm even bringing that up is because I know him and James Gunn have had conversations, and apparently James Gunn does want to work with Alan Richardson to some degree. What he wants him to do, who knows? I know he's like a fan cast for Batman. I actually don't really. I could see him pulling it off, but I don't. He's not my pick for Batman. You know, I also Brendan Sklenar's not my pick for Batman. To be honest with you, Robert Pattinson's my pick for Batman. But or they should go with like someone who's like relatively new and unknown, kind of like Christian Bale was when he got cast. Funny enough, this is totally. Let me digress here for a second. I watched The Madison with my mom. I don't. I have mixed feelings on that. I might actually go and talk about The Madison one of these days. I'm gonna watch season 2, but I don't know. I'm really just watching it for the cast at this point, to be honest. But what was I gonna say? Yeah. Oh. Will Arnett shows up. Is it showing my Fossabot stuff? I'll fix that later. I'll fix it next stream, guys. Sorry about that. It's only gonna pop up every hour or so. Anyway, Will Arnett shows up at the end of the Madison. Like he's in like the last 2 episodes or whatever. Spoiler alert for that show if you care. Sorry. But he also voices Lego Batman, and I'm not gonna lie, my great white whale, as far as like potential actors who could play Batman, there's a few I think that have gone by the way. I think John Hamm could have been a really good Batman, if he wasn't, you know, I don't want to say stuck on Mad Men because Mad Men's amazing, but you know, if he just hadn't been so busy doing other stuff, I do think John Hamm at one point in time could have been a really great Batman. I mean, he still could do it, but they're done with old Batman from what I understand. So anyway, which is funny because I think Robert Pattinson's in his 40s already, I think. But anyway, that's crazy. When it comes to Batman casting, I do actually think Will Arnett could have been a really good Batman. And I know a lot of people, once again, when I say that, people are like, huh? What? But just hear me out. So Michael Keaton started off as, you know, a comedian as well, and when he got cast as Batman, notoriously people were like, what the heck? And he ended up great. I think Will Arnett's kind of the same thing, but he looks more conventionally like Batman. Like he's kind of, Will Arnett's kind of ripped, and he's always been kind of ripped. And you know, he's a pretty solid looking dude as well. He's a good looking guy. I think he could pull off the Bruce Wayne aspect easily, and he's got the perfect voice for it. And he'd be able to do, like when he plays Bruce Wayne, like a little higher pitch, and then when he does Batman, a little more serious, like deeper pitch. But he's a guy that I'm like, man, he would have been a good Batman. Like he is a good Batman already because he plays Lego Batman, but that's like the comedic Batman. I mean, like if he got to be Batman in a live action movie, like some kind of like, if they do like, hey, look, James Gunn, if you ever see this, which you won't. But if you ever see this, you know, maybe do an Elseworlds Batman movie where Will Arnett gets to play like a live action serious Batman. I think that could be really cool. Like I said, look. I know it sounds crazy, but like, come on, someone else has to see the vision. If you're watching this later on Blended Caramel or on my main channel, you know, let me know down in the comments if you think I'm crazy or not. All right, I'm a big Batman fan, as you can see. So, you know, you just gotta let me know. All right, am I crazy? Anyway, enough of that. We got to get back to talking about War Machine. We got to talk about this movie. All right, So let me go ahead and read my review. I said, whoop. I mean, it was pretty fun. It was a pretty fun watch, but this is literally just Predator, but with a robot and a whole bunch of military propaganda thrown into boot. Literally started laughing because this movie had a solid ending, but then it goes on for another like 10 minutes just so it can end on a recruitment ad instead. Now, listen, I don't mind some military propaganda in my movie, all right? I'm able to spot it pretty easily these days. Like I love Top Gun Maverick, very much a military recruitment ad, might as well be, to be honest. This is the same kind of way. It is what it is. I don't really mind it. It's just part of living in the US, and just living in the current world that we live in. You can't really make a movie like this a lot of the time without like some kind of like military input. So if you want your movie to be like at all realistic towards like how the military operates and stuff, you have to work with them. Otherwise, I won't let you do it. I believe I saw something about One Battle After Another actually, how they wanted to use like ice in the movie, and they had to change it because they weren't allowed to because they were basically talking mad trash about ice. And that's not saying that you can't talk trash about these organizations in these movies because you can, because I've seen it before. But it's just one of those things where like, uh, if you don't work with them as far as like getting things right and stuff, they you're not allowed to use it. I think that's how it works. I'm not too sure. Once again, if anyone knows for sure, let me know down in the comments. What is funny is that this literally is pretty much just Predator. It's just Predator, except like not as well written. Which I guess that's a lot of movies. But yeah, sorry, but the Fossilbot stuff's gonna be popping up. That's I'll fix that for the next stream. Anyway, but I don't mind that, right? Because like if you watch the Doom movie with The Rock and Carl Urban, don't get me wrong, not like the greatest movie ever. I kind of like have a soft spot for that movie. But that movie, it's not even Doom, really. It's just, you know, it's funny because that movie I think would be good. I think a lot of people would like that movie if it wasn't titled Doom. But anyway, that movie's literally just aliens. You know what I mean? Except like not as good, right? So I still kind of so because of that, and because Aliens is a great movie, like even something that's like just like a rip-off knockoff of it is gonna be pretty good. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel about this. This had pretty good action scenes. I think Alan Ritchson is a great actor, very charismatic, and it turns out, listen, whenever I watch Reacher, I'd be like, why are these dudes trying to pick a fight with a guy who's like 3 times their size? And then that shit happened in real life. Somebody tried to fight Alan Ritchson in real life, and he was just like, fuck off. And he could have fucked that guy up a lot more than he did, and he definitely held back. But I will never question again. Next season of Reacher, I will not question it. You know what I mean? Because like, yeah, I forget that there's a lot of dumbasses out there who like would see a guy that big and be like, yeah, that's okay, I can take that. That's easy. You know what I mean? Funny enough, in Jack Reacher season 3, even Reacher is smart enough to not fight a guy bigger than him. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, he doesn't like the guy, but even he is aware that that dude, if he doesn't like think about how he approaches the fight, he knows that dude can fuck him up. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where I'm like, this is funny. You know what I mean? I think so anyway. I thought it was funny. But yeah, this movie's pretty solid. The thing is, like the alien robot thing, it has like no personality really. You know what I mean? Like it's a design I've seen a bunch of times. But like I said, easy breezy watch. If I had to, I'd watch it again, right? If I was at somebody's house or something, they were like, hey, let's watch War Machine. I'd be like, yeah, okay, not a problem. I go grab a drink or something, some nachos or whatever, chill out, have a good time. I don't think this is a completely worthless movie, but it's a lot. A lot of Netflix films are like this, right? A lot of Netflix original movies are like this, where you're like, hey, you know what? It's a fine time. It's like 2.5, maybe 3 stars at best. And then you just watch it and you move along with your day. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, that was pretty good. Moving on. So yeah, but I do think it's funny, dude. Like I said in this last little paragraph here, the movie has like a great ending set up, right? Especially due to how it's structured and some reveals dealing with Alan Richardson's character and everything. I don't want to get into spoilers and stuff, but like the movie has like a really great ending shot, and it cuts, and I'm like, oh cool, the credits are gonna roll now. The credits don't roll. There's like another 10 minutes basically that's like literally just military recruitment stuff. It's actually kind of similar to the very end of Battle Los Angeles, but I think Battle Los Angeles, funny enough, if anyone remembers that movie. It's got Aaron Eckhart and Michelle Rodriguez. But I think Battle Los Angeles, actually, that ending works for that movie, like just from a pacing standpoint, and like how that movie is like set up and framed and stuff. I think that military recruitment style ending works better for Battle Los Angeles than it does for this movie, if that makes any sense. If you've seen both movies, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. This one rang hollow, whereas like Battle Los Angeles felt earned. I kind of fuck with Battle Los Angeles. I'm not gonna lie. Kind of a cool movie. I still remember Aaron Eckhart's speech in that, man. He's so intense in that movie. What the heck happened to Aaron Eckhart, by the way? Where's that man at? Get that man, rescue that man from actor jail. What the hell did he do? Did he do something bad? I don't even understand. Like, he, come on, bro. He's such a good actor. Good grief, I love that guy. Anyway, all right. Then, for my mom's birthday, my brother was in town. So for my mom's birthday, which her birthday was like the week before, but still, we decided to go see Hoppers. We were gonna see The Bride, but I was like, Mom, I don't know. I don't know if you're gonna like this. Um, so we saw the new Pixar movie. I don't usually get to see kids animated movies in theaters anymore, and that has a lot to do with the fact that the last time I went by myself to see a kids animated movie was Inside Out 2, and I got so many weird looks from people. I was like, I'm here to enjoy the new Pixar movie. I grew up with Pixar. Like, leave me alone. I'm not here to scoop up your kids or whatever. I'm not gonna lie, man. I remember, dude. I remember when I saw Inside Out 2 at theaters, man. But I just went by myself, and I went as late as I could. I was like, surely there will be no kids here, and there were. And in the row in front of me was like a mom and her kids, and I showed up after them, and I sat behind them, and the mom looked back at me like in disbelief. You know, you can kind of tell when people are like thinking about you, you know, and at least I can anyway. And she was just like, her mouth was even kind of open, and I heard her go, and she opened up the app, like the Regal app, to see where people were sitting, you know, and was like, okay, kids, we got to move down a row. And I was like, that's weird. You know what I mean? That's weird. And it was definitely, you know, I was like, I just won't see kids' movies in theaters anymore. You know, because that was when I was like trying to review movies more regularly, and I'm gonna get back to that. But like, I did a review for Inside Out too. I don't know if I talked about this, if I told this story in that review or not. I don't think I did. But yeah. And then I was nervous because I did the same thing with Minecraft. I went to see that by myself. That skews more kids, at least I think anyway. Not an issue at all. It was like, not only was it like a packed theater and I was like sitting next to like a family or whatever, but like, no, everybody was chill. So it's not an all the time thing, but it does make me nervous whenever I go see any sort of like movie that like skews more for kids and stuff. I think, funny enough, I think when it comes to stuff like Minecraft and like Mario and stuff, I think like that energy's not there because people are like, oh yeah, well, he obviously must have grown up with this stuff. Whereas like a new original Pixar movie, people are like, why the hell are you here? You're a fucking grown ass man. I don't know what, it's a weird dichotomy. Is that the word I'm looking for? Anyway, or maybe it's a contradiction. I don't know. But I love Pixar. I want to see the new Pixar movies in theaters. God damn it! I'm just gonna go from now on. I'm not gonna be self conscious anymore about it. Maybe it'll help if I have a gummy bear or two before. But anyway, let me read what I wrote about Hoppers. I gave it 4 stars. Obviously liked it quite a bit. I said, really funny, and I never knew what crazy thing they were going to throw out next. Very, with 2 Y's for some reason. Good designs on all the characters, too. Also, nice to have a movie out that's just positive the whole way through. Oh, there's another movie we're going to talk about that came out later in March that I saw that did that. And I said, I'm an optimist, but even I've been struggling with pessimism lately, and this was a nice reminder that things will probably be all right. It's not the best thing Pixar has done. It's probably closer to the bottom, but that's more due to how good Pixar usually is. Definitely worth a trip to the theater. Yeah, man, I had a good time with Hoppers, man. Like, I know a lot of people these days are complaining that like movies aren't original anymore, or maybe that like Pixar's lost their sauce a little bit, and this movie proves that that's not the case at all. The animation on this is gorgeous. Oh, by the way, Bobby Moynihan plays this beaver right here. This one. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. My mouse. This beaver right here, Bobby Moynihan gets to play. Great character. I'm also glad Bobby Moynihan's getting to pop up in more stuff, man. That guy's really great. He was one of my favorite SNL cast members back in the day. um, but yeah, man, Hoppers is fun, dude. Like it's got like it's got like some I don't know some like both sides politics in it, but for the most part, man, it's really good, dude. And it has a great voice cast, and they do things in this where I was just like, oh snap! Like there was a moment like I kept thinking I knew where this movie was going. And then there's a moment, I don't want to spoil it or anything, where this beaver right here, I don't want to spoil like why this is important or whatever. I don't even want to spoil like I guess this poster kind of gives it away, but there's a girl who's an environmentalist who's in this beaver, right? And she does something she conjures like a bunch of the different animal groups together to have like a meeting about what they're going to do about the humans, And she does something in that meeting that that made me really perk because I was kind of like going, okay, I kind of know how this is gonna go. But then she did this thing, and I perked up, and I was like, oh snap, we got a movie here. Pixar's back, baby. When that moment happened, I was like, Pixar's back. They're back. Now we'll see if that remains true because I think Toy Story 5 comes out. I think Toy Story 5 looks good, but it's actually the first time that I saw a Toy Story trailer, and I was like, I don't know if that's gonna hit like the other ones. You know what I mean? Because Toy Story 4, I know people talked really badly about that one, but then when I saw the trailer for Toy Story 4, as well as saw the movie, I still was like, yeah, nah, this is just as good as Toy Story 1, 2, and 3. Like, it deserves to be in there. Toy Story 5, I'm not sure if I'm getting the same vibes or not, weirdly enough. I do think maybe they're pushing a little too hard, but I could be wrong. I could go see it and I'm like, yes, Pixar, of course, you're not gonna mess up Toy Story. But yeah, man, they got the juice, dude. And they do stuff with like John Hamm plays this mayor in this character. Funny enough, he kind of looks like I know John Hamm. I guess John Hamm kind of looks no. I guess he kind of looks like John Hamm-ish a little bit, but he skews more towards like Gavin Newsom. You know what I mean? Which I thought was an interesting choice. I was like, that's interesting. Why does he look like Gavin Newsom? And then as the movie progressed, I was like, oh snap, they're really going for this stuff. But man, I had a great time with this movie. It's so funny too. Like there is a moment later in the movie with John Hamm's mayor character and the beavers and the animals and stuff. I was dying, dude. And it was so creative and cool. I was like, this is why Pixar's the GOAT. You know what I mean? This is one of those movies you watch and you're like, this is why Pixar's the GOAT. You know? Yeah, dude, I liked Hoppers quite a bit. If you've not seen Hoppers yet, you gotta check it out. Incredible movie. So I saw that March 7th. March was honestly going pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I think March overall pretty solid. Pretty solid month as far as movies go. Then the next day I watched The Wrecking Crew with my mom. Once again, had a real blast with this one. This is once again it's a disposable like you watch it have a good time type movie, and it's weird to have two big movie stars in it, like literally big and also like figuratively, well not figuratively big, but like literally big and also like big as far as like popularity goes. It's weird having like legitimate like movie stars in these like movies that used to star. I'm not saying I don't want to. I'm not trying to like disparage Scott Adkins or anything like that, but like this is something more that Scott Adkins made his bread and butter doing. You know what I mean? Funny enough, this is more something that like you would see like a Michael J. White in. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that those guys are bad. Matter of fact, a lot of their like straight to video stuff is better than these big budget movies and stuff. But it's still odd to me that they're making movies like this that are just straight to like video basically, and it's like, and they're like pretty good, and they're clearly like kind of expensive. You know what I mean? I mean they cheap out a little bit on some special effects in this, but overall a good time. I had a good time with this one, man. It's a lot of fun. Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista got great chemistry together. I think Jason Momoa, man, I think he's got great chemistry with everybody at this point. I think Dave Bautista does as well, to be fair. But something about Jason Momoa, dude, it's funny because he just kind of plays himself every time, and yet I have a great time with it every time. He's even as Lobo, which granted that's how Lobo is, you know what I mean? But even as Lobo, like that's why I'm glad he's playing Lobo. But it's like that's just Jason Momoa, bro. You know what I mean? And that's just how he is. But he's always but Yeah, he's just good. You know what I mean? He's just I get why people like I understand I love Jason Momoa and I understand why other people love Jason Momoa and I actually think it's weird if you don't like Jason Momoa and I feel the same way about Dave Bautista. I think Dave Bautista is like and no shade to Jason Momoa or anything. I think he has way more range and versatility as an actor and he's got a lot of tools in his tool belt that he can pull out. Um but Jason Momoa is very good at what he does. That's why he's a movie star, baby, because that's what it takes. You know what I mean? Just have a lot of personality, a lot of charisma, and there you go. You're off to the races. So anyway, let me read what I wrote about the Wrecking Crew. I had a good time. Like I said, man, the action's pretty solid. It's a good time. Anyway, I said I gave it 3 stars and a heart, and I said not the greatest thing ever. Definitely a lesser buddy cop movie when thrown up against classics like Lethal Weapon or 48 Hours. But this is really entertaining. Never a dull moment. Jason Momoa is very funny in this. Batista gets an old boy hallway style fight with a needle drop from Reza. Whole movie kind of rips, and I'm glad I watched it. Yeah, it's funny because early in the movie, there's a part where Jason Momoa says, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. And I thought that was funny. And then in like the third act of the movie but I was gonna say Jason Batista, Dave Batista gets this really cool old boy hallway fight with Reza doing like I think it's only on Amazon Music, so I can't go back and listen to it. And I wish we lived in a world where fair use was still a thing, because if I was only streaming on Twitch, this wouldn't be a problem. But I would love to pull up that fight for you and just show it to you because I think it's really well done and it's really well choreographed and shot. I thought it was super cool, man. I was like, hey, this is dope, man. I'm having a good time. And any movie that lets Dave Bautista get an old boy hallway fight is good with me. You know what I mean? I'm never gonna hate a movie that lets me see that. I'm hoping he gets cast as Marcus Phoenix in Gears of War, the movie that they're doing. I know David Leitch is directing. I'm nervous. I'm real nervous, especially as someone who likes Gears of War so much that I actually wrote a screenplay myself for it, and I'm kicking myself that I did not, you know, find a way to sell it or something because I think it's very good. I'm biased, I guess, but it's one of the few scripts I've written, and maybe this means it actually sucks, but it's one of the few scripts I've written where I'm like, this is really good. But that's also because I'm such a big Gears of War fan. So, but Dave Bautista, I'm rooting for him to get the role for well, really any movie, honestly. I love Dave Bautista. Been a big Bautista fan since I was a kid when he was wrestling. He's such a cool guy, man. I love Dave Bautista. But yeah, man, the Wrecking Crew fucks, man. Wrecking Crew fucks. I liked it quite a bit. But I actually wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to this. You know what I mean? It might feel like some reheated nachos, but I like reheated nachos just as much as the next guy. So, but I dug this, man. I'm hoping Dave Bautista gets bigger stuff off this. I'm hoping Jason Momoa continues to rock the world as he is doing. Yeah, I would watch this again for sure. Oh, Morena Baccarin is in it as well. She's great as also. The whole cast in this is really good. So, and it's the first time. Let me look up this one guy. Hang on a second. It's Jacob Batalon, this guy from the Spider-Man movies. I hate to say this about somebody. I'm so sorry to this man. I normally don't like this guy. I'm just gonna be honest. I find him very annoying, and his character in Spider-Man is a ripoff of that one guy that hangs out with Miles Morales' Spider-Man all the time. They keep taking stuff from Miles Morales and giving it to Peter Parker. It's really annoying. But anyway, I normally don't like him, but I liked him in this one. I liked him in Wrecking Crew quite a bit. So then after that, oh boy, here we're getting into Colleen Hooverville here. Man, dude, what an interesting author. I read reminders of him. I'm gonna read Verity as well before the movie comes out, only because it has a movie coming out, not because I want to read it. Although I've heard it's their best one, so who knows? I don't know, but let's get into this. The next day I watched It Ends With Us. I know there's like a lot of controversy with these two. I actually really don't even know whose side I'm on or anything. I keep hearing different things. I don't want to really pick a side on it. I'll read up on it whenever everything's said and done. You know what I mean? Because I really don't know what the fuck's going on. Like I said, I'm not chronically online like I used to be. I only get on Instagram occasionally, and I get on Threads occasionally, and that's it. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I'm not on TikTok anymore. I'm and I don't scroll through YouTube Shorts endlessly. And to be honest with you, I've been feeling a lot better ever since I stopped using social media so much. I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here. Let me digress a second here. Again, let me drink. I'm thirsty. But ever since I ever since I stopped like being so chronically online and scrolling through social media, because man, I was really falling into like some rabbit holes, man. I've been sleeping better too. Like, allow me to go off on this for a second. I feel like because I want to stream and I want to entertain people and stuff, and because I want to write and everything, I feel like I should be chronically online. Right? I should be as informed on everything going on as possible. And I'm still staying informed as far as like world news goes and like some pop culture news and stuff. Matter of fact, I'll definitely watch Grace Randolph's box office breakdown tomorrow. She gets on my nerves sometimes, but you know, she's very good at what she does. You don't have to agree with everything she says, but I think she's good when it comes to talking about business side of stuff and box office stuff, even if she is kind of irritating sometimes. At least for me, she seems chill though. Um, but I've been watching Grace Randolph. God damn, bro, hang on. I've been watching Grace Randolph videos since like 2014. Damn, that makes me feel old. Jeez. Oh man, she looks great though. Anyway, I'm getting off on multiple tangents here. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, so I've been like off social media for like a little while. I'm not gonna ever get back on TikTok, I think. Especially now that David Ellison or Larry Ellison, whichever one of the Ellisons, the older one, the dad, um, is basically has ownership of it now. Um, but I haven't really been. I know I got Instagram back on my phone and stuff, but I haven't really been. I get it on every now and then, and once it hits like 7 or 8 o'clock, I don't even use it anymore. On PM. Um, but yeah, I've been feeling a lot better. I feel like I don't have like brain fog really anymore. I'm sleeping better. I feel like my vocabulary is like better. Granted, I have been reading a lot more. I've kind of replaced like social media with reading. In a lot of ways. Speaking of which, I need to pick up. I need to. I got the first two volumes of um Absolute Batman. I got to read those. I got my uncle Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman. I got my dad Absolute Superman. So I think next time I go to my dad's house, I'll read that first volume, Absolute Superman. And whenever I'm done with these two Batman ones, I'll ask my uncle if I can read the Absolute Wonder Woman book I got him. Um, this Absolute Universe stuff is awesome, dude. It kind of like I love that like I have like a main DC line of comics that I can read that doesn't have like decades of baggage attached to it. You know what I mean? It's like a full on like just brand new thing. I don't know what they're gonna do next type deal. I you know my issue with comics is that I love comics. Don't get me wrong. As you can see, I mean, how can I not be a comic book fan when I have my channel name is Dasherly Batman on Twitch and on my main channel on YouTube, but I fell off of reading comics for a while, at least like the monthly issues and stuff. Because I just was like, man, this stuff never ends, and when characters die and they come back, and they've done that like 50 fucking times. That's why it irritates me when people say that like a certain comic book movie is not comic book accurate, because like I'm sure you can find a comic book where it kind of lines up with what they're doing in the movie or whatever. Because there's been so many iterations of these characters, it never ends, right? So I don't know, man. I just really, but I'm getting back into comics now, funny enough, and I'm getting back into reading as well. And I attribute that to not really using social media anymore. I know my anxiety has been a lot lower as well. I'm just feeling overall like so much better. As a matter of fact, one reason why I even decided to stream tonight is because I was like, I don't know, I'm just feeling more motivated now. I feel like social media, dude, is like really bad. I know YouTube is technically a social media app, and so is Twitch as well to a degree. But like it doesn't feel the same, right? There's not like the same kind of level of interactivity, and there's not the same level of like being like addicted. You know what I mean? When I was on TikTok, dude, let me tell you guys something. Hey, my cat's coming back in. I gotta shut the door. What's up, big boy? What's up, big boy? How you doing? You go eat? Yes. The big man. He's the big man. He's so fat. Anyway, wow, he's my fat, chunky little boy. Anyway, we're gonna talk about It Ends With Us in a second, but there's not like the same level of interactivity on YouTube and Twitch. I guess on Twitch, yeah, but I just feel like it's really easy for me not to be addicted to YouTube. Like I can go like a couple days without watching something on YouTube. Um and I can just catch up later, right? Like if somebody posts a video and I really want to watch it. Like I know Sphere Hunter, I'm name dropping a lot of creators tonight, and I don't know if I should be doing that. I don't know if that's taboo or not to do. But whatever. I guess I don't really care. I'm a fan of Sphere Hunter, but anyway, she dropped the RA9 story video, and it's like an hour and 45 minutes, I think. So I can catch up on that later. You know what I mean? It's not something that I have to watch like immediately. But I just don't feel the same level of addictedness. So what I was gonna say, yeah, I remember what I was gonna say now. Sorry, before I got distracted by my big man here. What I was gonna say is that let me tell you guys something. Before I decided to hop off this social media thing, this is one of the few New Year's resolutions that I feel like I've actually been able to stick with. Funny enough, because I was like, I don't need to be using this stuff like I have been. So I deleted my TikTok, and for a while I didn't even have Instagram on my phone, and I didn't have Threads on my phone. Now I do. I don't have Threads on my phone, but still. And Letterboxd is kind of technically social media as well, I guess, but not really. Like I said, there's not like a level of interactivity on Letterboxd. I don't think you can. I guess you could be addicted to Letterboxd, but at that point, are you more addicted to Letterboxd or are you more addicted to watching movies? You know what I mean? Um, Anyway, interesting question there. But I was just having these. I wasn't even like sleeping. You know what I mean? I would just sit there and I would scroll, just endlessly on TikTok. And then when I would get bored on TikTok, I'd go to Instagram. You know what I mean? Just scrolling, liking, reposting, sending it to my friends, commenting, and I'm just like, I don't know. At one point, I just was like, "Why am I doing this?" Like it was literally like really impacting my life in a very negative way. And you know, I am happy to not have that anymore. Boy, when I post this part on Blended Caramel, man, because what I'm gonna do is my Yap sessions I'm gonna put up on Blended Caramel unedited. I might bleep out swear words or something. I'm not really sure yet, but for the most part, they'll be unedited. And then I'll put the edited version on my main channel. But like, when I put this on Blended Caramel, people are gonna be like, "God damn, man, this guy yaps. He yaps a lot." I don't even have anyone in my chat tonight, and I'm just sitting here yapping, which is good. But yeah, man, it just was really freaking kicking my butt, dude. It was kicking my butt. I was getting paranoid about stuff. Just really, just not healthy at all. Just going down these big rabbit holes. Just really not. I don't know, man. It was pretty bad. I'll talk about it sometime, maybe. Um, but yeah, and I'm realizing that it was just social media. That's all it was. It's just I had an addiction. You know what I mean? So, and it was like I don't know. I was getting like having my temper was coming back. Because I've had anger management problems in the past, but I found ways to manage it, obviously. Um, and yeah, I was feeling just more agitated and stuff. I just was not doing well. I'm about to start working out again as well, probably on Monday. Yeah, I think I literally have it on my journal as Monday. But anyway, like just I'm gonna start light and then start doing more hardcore stuff after about a month or two. But anyway, maybe I'll be looking ripped on stream pretty soon. Who knows? It's not really like my goal or anything. I just want to be more active. But anyway, I'm getting on so many tangents tonight. It's so funny. I'm kind of digging this though, buddy. What you doing? What's over there? Is there a bug? Okay. Um, but yeah, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. It was it was not good for a little bit. Um, but funny enough, I decided to pick like a slop book to read, and I well, slop. I don't know. I wouldn't really call it slop. It was okay, but I read reminders of him before I went to go see the movie, and I decided that I would go down a Colleen Hoover rabbit hole. I had planned on I was planning on making like a whole video where I talk about Colleen Hoover stuff, and I was gonna call it like Colleen Hooverville, because I was really like my granny loved like stuff like this, by the way, loved movies like this. She would have liked Colleen Hoover's stuff quite a bit. um and ever since she's passed, I've been finding ways to kind of I don't know, I guess like stay connected to her in some kind of way, because she liked stuff like this and she liked Hallmark movies and stuff, and everything like that. It might, it might get to the point where I start watching like NCIS and stuff like that. But you went out, bud? God dang, dude, make up your mind. Hang on a sec. Hang on. Anyway, sorry about that. So my plan was to make like a separate video about it. So I guess I'm talking about it now. So anyway, so this helps, but my plan was to like, just engage with some stuff that like I don't normally engage with. You know what I mean? This is not Colleen Hoover's stuff, at least so far. I don't know. Maybe I'll read Verity and think it's like the greatest thing ever, and she'll be like one of my favorite authors or some shit. I don't know. But this is not normally stuff that I would engage with, right? Like I'm a straight white dude. I like superheroes. I like action movies. I like westerns. I do like a really good rom com, but not like these. You know what I mean? And these movies are a little more serious. Like they're a little too serious for me, to be honest with you. Like I like, like when Harry Met Sally and stuff. I like really good rom coms and stuff, but like really good ones. And I like really good romance movies. Um, like Age of Innocence or something like that. I like a good cry. As a matter of fact, I didn't get to talk about it. I will when I get to watch it on HBO Max later. But like I liked Wuthering Heights. You know what I mean? And that actually is kind of another reason that motivated me to. I only made it halfway through that book, unfortunately. I really need to finish it. It was just kind of my headspace at the time when I was trying to read it was not the best. You know what I mean? And it was also reminding me of some like a past relationship of mine that was very toxic. I just was not having a good time reading it, so I watched the movie instead. And I look, man, I liked the movie. It was fine. It's not the look, even only having read half the book, I'm like, yeah, this this ain't faithful at all. But there's like a million Wuthering Heights adaptations. There's plenty that are accurate. They should do a TV series of Wuthering Heights sometime. I think that would be a really good, like a prestige HBO series for Wuthering Heights would be really good. Would be really good. Um, Especially if it was like faithful to the book. Especially because from what I understand, there's not a lot of movie adaptations that does. I don't want to spoil anything, but they usually only adapt like the first third or the first half of the book. Um, and then don't adapt the rest of it, because the rest of it, from what I understand, I didn't get to this part of it or anything, but from what I understand, I got like a couple chapters into that stuff, but it's really hardcore stuff. But I like stuff like this, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna engage, I'm gonna enter Colleen Hooverville, and I'm gonna like engage with this stuff at a level that I just haven't normally engaged with this stuff, right? you know, and just talk about it as if I'm talking about like a Spider-Man movie or something. Um, and then I just, because have been going through, I've been going through it, but because I've been going through something, I just was like, no, I just didn't have the motivation. I didn't have I just, I just couldn't do it. Maybe when Verity comes out, I'll do it. I'm definitely gonna review that one, for sure. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know if I'm saying that title right now, but it's got Anne Hathaway. I think Anne Hathaway's got 5 or 6 movies out this year. Insane. Insane. I love Anne Hathaway though, so that's great. She looked great at the Oscars, by the way. I was like, Anne, you're looking phenomenal. Like, what the hell? What's your secret? Let me know. We got to talk about It Ends With Us, though. So, went off on that. That's so many tangents. Let me get back to what we were doing, which is the March recap here. Um, anyway, so I watched. So on March 9th, the day after I watched The Wrecking Crew, I was like, oh, I'm gonna throw It Ends With Us on Netflix. It's been on Netflix for a while. Been on my radar for a while. Didn't like it, but let me just read. The best scene is when Blake Lively is relieved that she's having a girl and not a boy. Laugh my fucking ass off, bro. Okay, the only reason why this was funny to me is because I'm like, I don't know. It's a trope that I don't like because Justin Baldoni's character in this movie, and maybe in real life, I don't know. It's hard for me to tell, to be honest. Same thing with Blake Lively, to be real. I don't really know what's going on between these two or the drama with the movie. All I know is he might be bad, she might be bad, he might be in the right, she might be in the right, but it seems like more people are on his side for a change, which is interesting, than her side. I don't really know. I will say the whole time I kept thinking to myself, I should really, this whole movie I kept thinking to myself, I was like, I should really like read about what's going on with all the drama in this, because, you know, it would be interesting to see which side I fall on or whatever. Um, but anyway, uh, the reason why that scene bugged me is because it's a trope that I don't like very much. Where like the male character is like really bad, but then he gets like the female character pregnant, and then like she's doing the pregnancy test, and she's like, I also hate like pregnancy test reveals in movies. I get like that there's not really a whole lot of ways. Funny enough, there's not really a whole lot of ways to reveal that someone is pregnant. You know what I mean? Even like I saw Kill Bill the whole bloody affair last year in theaters. God, what a great experience! Oh my god, it was awesome. Anyway, um, but even in that movie, they do the. I mean, granted, you know they have like the fight scene and stuff going on, but even in that movie, it's the pregnancy test thing and blah blah blah. So anyway, at one point in this movie, Blake Lively. This has been out for a little while, so spoilers. But anyway, it's on Netflix, I think. Still, it's been out for 2 years. Check it out. I'm sure you have by now, considering all the drama with this movie. I'm surprised I haven't checked it out before this, to be honest, considering all the drama. I'm surprised I haven't kept up with the drama between these two. As chronically online as I like to be, I kept looking at that and I was like, I'll read it later. I'll read about this later. Anyway, maybe now's the time. But he gets her pregnant. He in this movie not a very good guy, very bad guy, makes a lot of mistakes. Uh, I think they went a little too far with it, man. There's an aspect I don't want to spoil too much um, about it, but there is an aspect of this you can probably guess where I'm going. He's more than just physically abusive. Let me just put it that way. Um, he's not really. I wouldn't say he's verbally abusive, really, and he doesn't. I don't think he. I guess he did gaslight her into thinking he wasn't beating on her, but I don't know. Anyway, he, he's not too much of a gaslighter. I guess he is to a degree, but okay. Let me just say, there is a moment where he does like legit sexually assault her, like even though they're married and stuff at the time. He does something he shouldn't do. That's very very bad and very serious. But he does sexually assault Blake Lively's character in this. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here is there's this trope. I've seen it multiple times. I'm actually having a hard time thinking of an example, but where she's doing the old like the chick who got pregnant impregnated by the bad guy is like doing the ultrasound thing, and they do this like moment of relief when they hear that it's a girl and not a boy. And the reason it bothers me is because I very much believe in like nurture over nature. Obviously like we have built-in natures, you know what I mean, like to us and stuff as humans and everything, but I think nurture is very very like a big part of why people turn out the way they do. Like for example, I'm sure the reason Donald Trump is such a horrible human being is because of his parents. And if you know anything about his parents, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Um, but like did he ever really stand a chance at being a good person? I was talking about my mom about this. Like I think we were talking about Barron how tall for some reason how tall Barron Trump came up earlier today, and I don't really know why. Anyway, I guess we're talking about people who were tall for no reason. I think so. I think that's what it was. Um, but yeah, he's like 6'9" or some crap. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, we were like, and then I thought to myself, like, you think that kid has a chance of turning out to be a good person, like at all? It's got to be like the closest to zero chance that he turns out to be a good person. Maybe he does. Maybe he pulls through somehow, but I don't know, man. It ain't looking good, right? Um, but it is a thing that bugs me because it's like I get it, men are not good, and I've definitely done some stuff in my life that I'm not proud of. But like, it's not. I know, like when people say all men, they don't mean like all men necessarily, or maybe sometimes they do. I don't know, but I'm not a fan of it because it's always nurture over nature. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I do know that there's societal things as well, but if you raise your kid right, most likely they're not gonna fuck up the way that this guy likes to fuck up. Granted, I also have an issue with them adding the sexual harassment aspect to his character, and I know this is probably from the book. If it's added for just for the movie, then like, what the fuck? But I'm sure it's in the book just because I read reminders of him and there was some stuff in there that I was like, what the hell? Even just the premise of reminders of him, I'm like, this is weird. Um, but anyway, but there's a reveal with his character for like one of the reasons why he's such a tortured, like angry guy and stuff, and why he is kind of the way he is because of this very traumatic event that happened to him when he was a kid, which is that he accidentally, him and his brother would play cops and robbers or something like that, and he grabbed they together, I believe, grabbed their dad's gun and he shot his brother in the head. Like a horrible tragic accident. That is all too common in America, and so I think that's kind of why I have an issue with them adding the sexual harassment stuff to it. Because once they have that reveal, it's like I don't know, man. I just think that takes away the interesting aspect of the movie. You know what I mean? Like you've now made him like so much of a bad guy that I can't really like ever like I don't care that he had that traumatic thing because the thing that this sexual harassment thing that he does is so like gross that like you tell me that and I'm like, well, I want to feel bad for him, but I really don't because you showed me this other aspect of him, and even if he did go through that traumatic thing, it doesn't excuse him for doing this. You know what I mean? I can understand the anger part and like the him hitting her part and stuff, and that's domestic abuse is very serious and everything, very serious topic to discuss, and someone much more equipped than me should do that. um, but I don't know, man. There's something about it that just really I was like, ugh, ugh. Like don't I don't know. I don't know, bro. Because he's also like a brain surgeon, right? He's a neuroscientist in this, like literally. She even laughs when he says that to her because it's like you're fucking with me, right? But he like legitimately is like not neuroscientist, a neurosurgeon. He's a brain surgeon, man. I know, like someone as smart as that can still do really evil, heinous stuff. We see it all the time in the world. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. For some reason, it was like a step too far for me in the movie. And normally stuff like that I don't really give a crap about, right? Because I'm like, especially if the movie like, is dealing with these serious topics and stuff. I usually don't mind it because I'm like, I get it. What I get what, but I don't know why. There's just stuff about this that I was just like, I don't know. This feels like it's coming from an inauthentic place. I guess. That's what it is. It just doesn't. I don't know. Something about this movie feels gross. Does anyone else feel this way? Am I crazy? I don't know. I mean, the other movies from hers, there's aspects that makes me feel gross, but not like this one. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to excuse this man for anything he does in the movie or outside of the movie. But, like, I guess what I'm trying to say here is just, I'm like, it doesn't, I think they took it, like, for some reason, I just think it's too much. You know what I mean? Like, to the point where it feels like it takes me out of the story. You know what I mean? Like, him being abusive and beating on her and stuff, I'm okay with. And then, like, the traumatic backstory, I'm okay with. But then you add, like, the sexual harassment aspect to it as well, and I'm like, God damn, man, y'all are really piling on here. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing, you know. Same thing with like this scene that I was laughing about. I don't know. There's just stuff in this movie that I'm like, it just piles on. I guess is like the thing that I'm trying to say here. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a crazy person. Who knows? I don't know, man. Something about this movie, I was like, this movie feels gross in a way that I haven't felt when it comes to a movie like this in a long time. Actually can't even remember the last time I felt gross watching a movie like this. But and not gross as in like, ew, it's freaky. I mean, like, just gross as in like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? So I don't know. But the performances were good. You know, I think, look, I don't know what's going on with Blake Lively or whatever. But she's a very talented, charismatic actress. Um, you know, she, especially like if you watch like The Shallows, she's a great actress. I've always been, um, I always thought it was weird that she, just hasn't gotten to do anything like more than what she's done because I'm like, because she looks great, you know, obviously. And she's also like very charismatic and talented, you know, and has a lot of range. I feel like she's got a lot of range as an actress. Um, but you know, maybe if I read about what the drama is on this, on the behind the scenes, it'll explain it. But I've always wondered why she is not a bigger star than she is. You know what I mean? Like people know her. She was in Gossip Girl and stuff, but I really don't understand why she, you know, before all this controversial stuff, like I just feel like in the year 2024, Blake Lively should have already been at a point in her career. I don't know, this is gonna sound bad, but you know, whatever, where she's above a movie like this. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know. Uh, I think so anyway. But anyway, the next day, I dived straight back into the Colleen Hooverville, and I watched Regretting You. Jesus, man. You talk about a movie. So I wrote, and this is March 10th, so I wrote, bro, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And I watched this really late, and it was on Paramount Plus. This cast is awesome, man. For a movie premise that I'm just like, what the fuck? So, it's funny too, man, because they kind of cower out of it. Let me read. God, man, this movie's so weird. Oh my god. All right, so this has McKenna Grace, Mason. Who's Mason Thames? Oh yeah, this guy from the Black Phone movies. Yeah, okay. I like everyone in this cast. I'm not even gonna lie. This cast is awesome, man. It's directed by Josh Boone, though. What did he do? He did Fault in Your. Okay, so maybe Fault in Our Stars was a fluke for this guy then, because like well, New Mutants clearly was unfinished, and there's a lot of like, it's clear that like there were reshoots planned for this movie because like, I mean, you know, that's just normal, especially for a movie like this. But there's a lot of times when it feels like they use the first take on things. If anyone's seen New Mutants, I think you know what I'm talking about. I haven't seen Stuck in Love, so I can't comment on. But Stand, I couldn't even get through this. I was like, this sucks. So maybe this guy just sucks. Maybe he just did a bad adaptation. I don't know. This felt like some Hallmark bullshit, though. I'm just gonna be honest with you, dude. I could. It says risk everything, regret nothing. And when I tell you what's going on in this movie, that tagline will be even weirder. For the McKenna Grace and Mason Thames of it all, this tagline makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? But when it comes to Allison Williams and Dave Franco, even this fucking moment right here is so weird. Oh my god. Oh, we're at this sad funeral, but all I can do is think of you, Allison Williams. Which, I mean, you know, who can blame him? But anyway, okay. So this movie is so fucking weird. So it starts off, you see a flashback, you know, before they jump, I think like 13 years, and then they all look exactly the same, except for Dave Franco, who now has glasses or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if you look at a picture from me from like 13 years ago, I still relatively look the same. So I get it. I get what's going on. I'm definitely fatter now than I was 13 years ago, but that doesn't matter. But I basically look the same. So I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Some people just age really well. We're lucky like that. But this movie is basically, so it's a romance between these two characters, okay? And also, this is, Allison Williams' daughter is McKenna Grace, which I don't know, not the best. I don't know. I guess they kind of look alike. And then Dave Franco has like a baby or whatever with his other wife. But you're about to see what I'm talking about here. A lot of cheating in this movie, by the way. Matter of fact, Mason Thames has a girlfriend when he meets McKenna Grace, and you actually never see his girlfriend in this movie. And I hate to say this. This movie does make me tempted to read the book, because I'm like, there ain't no way that this dude's girlfriend's not in this book, right? How did she just get ignored? You know what I mean? I was like, eh. But anyway, let me get back into this. So at the start of this movie, and I think it's before they're married officially, but like Dave Franco is with Willa Fitzgerald, who is Allison Williams' sister, okay? And Allison Williams is with Scott Eastwood. And, you know, even at the start, it's implied that, like, they're with the wrong people and that it should be the other way around. You know what I mean? So then what happens in the movie, it fast forwards, you know, I think the movie starts off and it says that Allison Williams' character got pregnant at, like, a really young age. That's why she has a teenage daughter, and that's why, like, him and Willa Fitzgerald have a baby, like a newborn. Okay, so... which, by the way, I think... Anyway, all right. When I tell you guys what happens in this, and yeah, you can probably guess already, especially if you've seen it already, you know what's going on. So, spoiler alert, but it turns out that Scott Eastwood and Willa Fitzgerald were fucking, and they were in a relationship together, and basically cucking, you know, their relatives here. And the way that they find out is that they die in a car crash together. I shit you not. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, what the fuck? I thought, when I saw the trailers for this, I don't know, maybe I was like just tuning them out or something, but I remember the trailers for this playing, and even at the time I was like, this is a weird concept for a freaking movie. But I thought that, like, you know, their spouses had just died, you know, separately or whatever. You know, I had no clue that this is basically like a big old, like, just a big old family fuck club. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no real incest going on here. No one's like has sex with each other who's blood related, but it's just like one of those movies where I was like, what the fuck's this? What is this? Clancy Brown, by the way, he's in this. He plays the grandfather of Mason Thames' character. Mason Thames is taking care of Clancy Brown's character. There's a whole reveal in the third act. I won't even get into that shit because it feels tacked on. But oh my god, dude, this movie is nuts. The acting in it's very good, don't get me wrong. But I did not find it sexy in the slightest, even though I was supposed to, right? Now, because I'm not really invested in, like, the high school romance going on with McKenna Grace and Mason Thames. I think they're in high school, or maybe they're about to go to college. Something like that. Anyway, so me as an adult, I'm more invested in the Dave Franco, Allison Williams relationship. But instead of being, like, invested and, like, you know, rooting for these two to get together, I'm just kind of, like, grossed out by it. You know what I mean? I'm just grossed out by the whole thing. Because there's even a reveal that, like, Dave Franco, at one point, you know, really looks at his baby and realizes, and is like, drops the baby off at Allison Williams' house for her to watch for a little bit. Because he realizes that his kid is not his kid, and it's probably Scott Eastwood's kid. With Willa Fitzgerald, who was his wife and her sister. And it's just like, God damn. You know what I mean? And just the way everybody reacts in this movie. It's one of those things where I was watching this and I was like, I'm going to have a hard time reading this book. Not this book, but the Reminders of Him, aren't I? Because Reminders of Him also has kind of a weird premise. And I just was really regretting jumping into Colleen Hooverville while watching this. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? The only reason it even got 1 star from me is because I do like the cast. I think they're all very talented. And, you know, it looks okay. You know what I mean? It doesn't look ugly or anything. The cinematography is fine. But goddamn, bro. What a movie. What a weird movie. Anyway, let's move on. I just could not believe this movie, man. Jeez Louise. Then 2 days later, I finally got to see Undertone. I hated it. God, this movie sucks. This movie's so boring, man. I could not stand it, dude. I was losing my mind. This is funny because I'm wearing my Jurassic Park shirt. Um, but when I was watching this, I was like, you do plan on having something scary happen in your scary movie, right? I was like, I found this movie so goddamn dull. I hated this. There is such a thing as being too subtle sometimes. Being too, like, you know what's funny? I feel like horror for me, I'm at a point in my life where I often watch a horror movie and I wish that the director was more reserved, right? Was not as in your face as he was. Granted, it really depends, right? Because I saw Send Help, of course, loved it, and also Iron Lung, I think. But Iron Lung, funny enough, I think is for not only like way better than this, and so same with Send Help, but Iron Lung does actually take its time though. You know what I mean? That's not a very. You know what's funny? You know what's funny? It's not a very hyperactive movie. But when shit hits the fan, it hits the fan. But it is actually. I was shocked at how good. Yeah, whenever you watch that, I might end up giving it more than 3 stars. I might end up hopping it up to like 3.5 or 4, because I liked it. Let me put it this way: if Markiplier decides to make another movie, I will be first in line because I liked Iron Lung a lot. We'll talk about that sometime. But this movie, holy shit! I kept waiting. I was like, something ever will happen in this. And there's moments where stuff happens in the scary moments, but like, my god, dude, it's too reserved, and it just was not good. And I didn't like the way it was directed. There's so many times when like the camera's doing like this 360-degree pan, right? Where it's like trying to like, play on your fear of like, what am I gonna see something, And it does that like I think it does that a couple times, and nothing. Every single time, nothing. And it actually makes me have more respect for a movie like Skinamarink, a movie that Skinamarink I didn't like that much. I liked it way more than this one. Uh, but Skinamarink, I can see why people think that movie's so scary. Like for me, it wasn't very scary, and I saw it in like theaters and stuff. I didn't think Skinamarink was very scary at all, but I can see why people would think it's scary. Undertone, I could not see why people thought it was scary. And what's funny is, I don't mind slow cinema. I don't mind if a movie wants to take its time, but the majority of the scares don't happen until literally, I think it was like the last 5 minutes, not even the last 10 minutes, but like the last 5 minutes. And if you're gonna make me wait that goddamn long and you're gonna throw like a barrage of horrors at me, they gotta be something besides that basic bullshit that happens at the end of this movie, where like the scariest thing is that people wrote stuff on a wall. I was like, fuck off. I left this movie in such a bad mood. I was like, nah. And this director, Ian Twason, or Tuason, however you say his name. He's doing Paranormal Activity 8. God, Jesus Christ. Anyway, I guess we have no hope of this franchise being good. I don't want to say that this guy is like a bad filmmaker or anything. I'm just gonna say, not for me. Maybe at one point I'll watch one of his movies in the future and I'll really like something he does. But I fucking hated Undertone, dude. And he even has the audacity to put a quote of like the scariest movie you'll ever hear. And I'm like, you get the fuck out of here. You get the fuck out of here. Movies are a visual medium for a reason, man. If you're not going to do anything with your visuals, then it should have just been a podcast show. Like, get the fuck off. Okay? Wasting my goddamn time. This shit's only 94 minutes and I was pissed. I left that movie. I was like, man. Anyway, I couldn't stand it. I should have given it half a star when I think about it, but the main actress in this is very good. Nina Kiri. I thought she was very good. I would watch her in something else for sure. All right. But luckily, after that, I got to see Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. And I had a good ass fucking time with it. I don't think this is like the best Friday the 13th movie. Funny enough, I actually think maybe I disagree with myself here for in a second. But seeing this in 3D was dope. I kind of miss when 3D was this gimmicky, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I remember when I saw like the My Bloody Valentine 3D remake that came out with had Jensen Ackles in it. I was a big Supernatural fan at the time. I still am in a lot of ways. I don't like those newer seasons, but season 1 through 5 goated. And there's a few good seasons in between that. I mean, like after that as well, but It's not as consistent as it was in season 1 through 5. Anyway, I had such a good time with this, man, and I kind of miss gimmicky 3D. Like don't remember, I like the 3D we have now, for the most part. I mean, I like the Avatar movies so much, but you know, I could use more like things flying at me through the camera and shit. You know what I mean? But anyway, I watched Friday the 13th Part 3, gave it 3.5 stars and a heart, and I'm gonna get into this, but I think I might disagree with what I wrote here a little bit. I said finally got to see this in theaters and in 3D. Happy to say it ruled. Feel like this one's a little slept on. Also might have the best final girl in the series. Certainly the smartest one, at least. So this last part right here, I disagree with. I think this movie's actually rated about, with fans, I think it's actually rated about like where it should be, which is kind of like in the middle-ish. And I don't know. I think like over time, I haven't thought about this for a little bit. I do think that the final girl in this is very capable and like one of the smarter ones for sure. However, I don't think she's the best one in the series. Um, I think that probably for me would go to the one from part 7. That's the one that was like basically Carrie versus Jason, I think. Um, but that's probably the best final girl to me, at least. Outside of like Tommy Jarvis. But anyway, yeah, I had a really good time with this one, dude. It not really much to say as far, but it's a Friday the 13th movie. Does what it does on the set, does what it says on the tin. But this is a great theatrical experience because it was really like a packed theater, and everyone was just having a hoot with it. And the 3D was dope. I like I said, I kind of miss gimmicky 3D stuff. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, then I re-entered Colleen Hooverville after a little bit of a break. I had finished the book at this point. Um, yeah, what can I say? I didn't really like it all that much. Although I do like these two. I'm big Micah Monroe fan, and I'm becoming a big fan of this guy. I'll look. Let me see what his name is real quick. Yeah, Tyreek Withers. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay. Um, he's in like one of my favorite episodes of Atlanta, by the way. I can't remember which one it was. I think it's like. Well, I don't want to say it on stream. Actually, never mind. I don't think I can say that on stream. But anyway, I'm becoming a big fan of this guy for some reason. I think he seems talented and maybe he's got some range. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I didn't really like this movie. So let me just read my review. Even though I didn't really like it, I would do agree with this, which is the best Colleen Hoover thing so far. And I know that's not a high bar to clear, but at least it's something. Still, even with someone as talented as Micah Monroe in the lead role, this is painfully dull. My granny would have really liked this, though. This is one of those things where I'm actually kind of glad I read the book ahead of time. I think the book's better, funny enough. I mean, like, depending on how... your mileage will vary depending on how much you like stuff like this. Like I said, stuff like this is not really for me. This last sentence right here is a big part of the reason why I even decided to hop into Colleen Hooverville, because my granny would have liked Colleen Hoover stuff, but like... I don't know. She got dementia and passed away and stuff before Colleen Hoover became like a big thing. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of my way of, I don't know, remembering her in some kind of way. And like I said earlier, I really wanted to like really engage with some media that I don't normally engage with. At least like not at this much of a level, right? I don't normally read books like this. Like I wanted to read Project Hail Mary before the movie, but I decided I'm going to read it sometime after. We'll talk about Project Hail Mary in a little bit, but like with The Martian, The Martian or like Project Hail Mary, like it's more like my wheelhouse as far as like stuff that I like to read. This is not really for me. I'm not a big Colleen Hoover person. I am going to read that Verity book and I'll see the movie. It's got Anne Hathaway in it. It comes out, I think, like October or whatever. So I got a long time, got plenty of time. I'll have a nice long Colleen Hoover break. You know what I mean? I've already been enjoying my life without reading any Colleen Hoover stuff or watching any Colleen Hoover stuff. But it'll be a nice long break. I think I'll read the Verity book like a month before the movie drops or something. But yeah, buddy, didn't like it. I'm glad Micah Monroe is getting opportunities like this because this should help catapult her a little bit. She's got It Follows 2 coming up soon and probably a whole bunch of other projects. She's great. I've been a big fan of her since The Guest. That was like the first thing I saw her in. I think she's awesome. She should be hopefully on her way to being like a movie star. Hopefully at some point she gets a bigger, like something that can really like elevate her to like true movie star status. Because I like Monica Monroe quite a bit. I think she's very talented. Um, anyway, then a couple days later, I got to watch Project Hail Mary. Loved this one. I didn't really have a whole lot to say in my review because I'm very tired. I saw this in IMAX, I think. No, I didn't see this one in IMAX. Never mind. But I get 4.5 stars. Said inspiring. Let's all save the planet together, people. Yeah, man. What can I say that people haven't already said already? I thought about maybe coming back to review this one. I do like a full review for this one, but I was like, I'm still not really in the mood to be streaming or making any kind of videos or anything. But I like this a lot, man, and Ryan Gosling, dude, is so good in this. It's like a one-man show for him, basically. I mean, what's her name is in this as well. Well, a lot of people were in this, but like Sandra Hüller, yeah, she's great. But I mean, this is the Ryan Gosling show. You know what I mean? I haven't seen him this locked in since like The Nice Guys, to be honest. I mean, I liked him a lot in Barbie as well, and also The Fall Guy. But you know, this is like up there with like The Nice Guys, and I think it's probably a better performance than he does in The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys skews a lot more comedic than this performance, because in this one he's still hitting a lot of dramatic beats and stuff. But this dude's just incredible. I feel like Ryan Gosling can just do anything. Like at this point, like I know there's like that funny meme that's like, you know, let's cast Ryan Gosling as Black Panther or whatever. It's just so dumb. Don't do that. But I'm just saying, like, might as well just do it for like shits and giggles and see if he can pull it off. But yeah, this movie's really great. It's, you know, it feels like old school blockbuster stuff, the same way that The Martian did with Matt Damon as well. Like I said, I haven't read this book yet. I thought that The Martian was really good and it was a really good adaptation. I'm sure this one's the same way. Also, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, unless I got that. Yes, okay, good. Sometimes I get their names mixed up. But yeah, they're great. They're definitely gonna get elevated after this movie for sure, and I feel like this is a big vindication for them after they got kicked off Solo the way they did. And I'm sure Disney's kicking themselves right now. Heck, maybe they're even calling them up on the phone going like, you know what, we made a mistake. Come make a Star Wars movie. And I know Ryan Gosling, I think the next big movie he's got is a Star Wars movie, funny enough. And so, you know, it's just funny how life works out, I guess. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it's good. I'm not super thrilled about that Star Wars movie because I don't like the director. He did Deadpool and Wolverine. I didn't like that. Nothing that guy's directed. The only thing I've liked from that guy is his Stranger Things episodes he directs. Other than that, I'm like terrible filmmaker. But anyway, Project Hail Mary is great though. Like straight up, it's still out. Go see it. You'll just have a great time. I think everyone can agree for the most part. I mean, obviously there's gonna be outliers, but I think everyone can agree that Project Hail Mary was the shit. And we're about to wrap up here pretty soon, so I'll get ready for Subliminal. But then about a week later, I watched They Will Kill You. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that title on YouTube, but I just did. I gave it 3.5 stars with a heart. I said, well, that's funny. I was definitely in a mood after when I wrote this, but I said, this movie is literally just 94 minutes of Zazie Beetz beating the holy shit out of a bunch of rich twats. And if you don't think that's cool as hell, IDK, I feel like maybe you're just a Trump supporter. That's hilarious. Good movie. I like Zazie Beetz. Also someone who I became a big fan of because of Atlanta. If you've not watched Atlanta with her and Donald Glover and Brian Tyree Henry. Ugh. Try saying that 3 times fast. I think you should do that because that's a great show. But this movie's fun, man. It does feel like we have this. This very much feels like we have Kill Bill at home type movie, but still fun. Still a really good time. And I'm not gonna ruin it or anything, because it's newer than the other movies I've been talking about. But just like I didn't want to ruin anything from Project Hail Mary. But there's a reveal. Like when I was watching the trailers and stuff, I was like, that's interesting. It looks like they kill off a couple of big name actors in this like early on. And I'll just go ahead and say this. I thought that the trailers for this movie gave away too much. And I'll just say no they didn't. there's there's some pretty good reveals and stuff in this, and there's some pretty good fight scenes that they did not ruin in the trailers at all. At least I think they only had the one trailer. I'm not sure. I only saw one trailer, so I don't know. Maybe there's another one that does ruin everything, but it's a fun time. You know what I mean? It's just B movie goodness. That's all it is. It's referencing like grindhouse stuff and blaxploitation stuff. It feels very familiar, and obviously this director's not as good as like a Tarantino when it comes to doing that stuff, but he's still pretty good at it. He's good enough at it where you're gonna watch this and have a good time. It's very much kind of like War Machine and what was the one we talked about with Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista? The Wrecking Crew. It's like in the same vein as those movies, but I think it's better than those two as well. I think it definitely earns its theatrical release rather than being on streaming. Um, this movie would hit in the theater in a way that those other two movies wouldn't, right? Those other two movies are a little cheaper looking than this. Um, but yeah, I hope this launches like a nice big action movie career for Zazie Beetz. She's great. Um, but this movie's fun. It's a lot of fun. Definitely, I think this is worth checking out in theaters. It pretty much just came out, like a week or two ago. So, go check it out if you got the time. If you got AMC A List or Regal Unlimited, you'll definitely have a great time at the theater with this movie. Super fun. Patricia Arquette is doing an accent in this, and I don't mind it, but some people will be like, "Oh, this movie sucks because of that," but she's doing an accent in this, and I think that's funny. I say a accent because I don't know what accent, but she's doing an accent. And she gets in on the action a little bit too, but I don't want to spoil too much. All right, then I ended March. I rewatched Anaconda. I watched this with my mom because we were just trying to find something to watch. Yeah, I have a good time with this movie. I'll just go ahead and read real quick what I wrote. I gave it 2.5 stars and a like. It's fine. I said second time watching and I still laughed pretty consistently throughout. Wasn't even stoned this time, lol. There's some plot developments in this that are superfluous, but at the end of the day, this movie's harmless and funny, and sometimes that's all the movie needs to be. Speaking of superfluous stuff in this, there's a character in this, let me see. She played Ratcatcher 2 in the Suicide Squad. Is it Anna Francesca? No. Nope. I think it's Daniela Melchior. Yeah, okay. First of all, I want to say, I think her character name in this is Anna, and her last name is not Conda. Missed opportunity. Straight up dumb. This movie, I don't know. It feels kind of like a cynical cash grab in some ways because, like, if this was like, at the end of the movie, they have this big thing where they, are like, oh yeah, we're just a group of friends who unofficially made this movie. If this was like an unofficial, like a group of friends got together to make an Anaconda reboot and put it on YouTube, it would feel less cynical than this because this is very much Sony trying to like squeeze blood from a stone basically and get, more money. You know what I mean? However, it's got enough funny moments and good jokes and stuff, and it's clever enough that I liked. But what I was trying to say is the actress who played Ratcatcher 2 in Suicide Squad, I literally already forgot her name. I'm so sorry. Daniela Melchior. Her, speaking of superfluous, her entire character, why? You know what I mean? Sometimes, I won't ruin it or anything. I'll just say sometimes straightforward is better. You know what I mean? I will go ahead and ruin it. So she plays this character who you think is like running from, like she's like, you think she's like a good guy, and you think that she's running from, like this starts before the main plot shows up, and she ends up running to Paul Rudd and Jack Black and Steven Zahn and Thendaway Newton. But you think she's like this like heroic person who's running from like these like greedy gold miners or whatever. And then it turns out that it's actually the opposite way around, and she's the greedy gold miner, and the guy chasing her is a cop. And I'm just like, why? And also, just why is it even in the movie? I'm like, you're making this needlessly complicated for no reason. And then the way that storyline even ends. I mean, they literally just like that guy, the cop ends up getting shot, and then the anaconda ends up eating Anna. And I was like, okay. And then there's still like another 30 minutes of the movie left. And I'm like, all right, well, why was that even in the movie? You know, I was like, you're trying to be like a funny comedy here. You're just distracting me from the funny comedy bits. You know, it's almost like it's padding. You know what I mean? It's very frustrating. Um, but I liked it enough. It's charming enough, and you know, it's hard to be upset with a movie that's basically just like, hey, go make movies, right? That's basically what the message is, or like, you know, chase your dreams, essentially. Um, Also, Steve Zahn's the goat. He's underrated. I love Steve Zahn. Thandaway Newton doesn't really have a lot to do in this, unfortunately. She doesn't really get any jokes. I thought that was weird. I didn't understand that. Steve Zahn's funny in it. Of course, Jack Black and Paul Rudd are pretty funny. It's an okay movie, you know. Um, Definitely better if you watch it after a couple gummy bears, but you know, because watching it without the gummy bears was not as good. But it's fine. All right. Well, anyway, that's my Letterboxd Wrapped recap thing for March. Um, we'll start April's with these two movies, and I'm trying to think here what what my like first movie review back is gonna be. I don't remember what's coming out this coming Thursday. So I got tickets for it. Oh, it's Exit 8, the Exit 8 adaptation. Yeah, okay. I think that's already came out in Japan, but I'll review that. I'm actually kind of excited to watch that. I'm more, well, because I didn't do any March recaps before I didn't do any monthly recaps before this. When did I see? Yeah, I saw The Mortuary Assistant. God awful movie. It's so funny too because like this is a very faithful adaptation of the game, and yet it's still bad. It was real bad. Do not recommend. But I think Exit 8's gonna be better. I do think that they should keep adapting more like smaller games. Like not every video game adaptation has to be a AAA video game adaptation. You know what I mean? I do think that they should still keep going for like indie or AA games to adapt. Um, but the Mortuary System was not good. It was one of those movies where I was like, why even make this? You guys clearly don't have the money to do this. And that's saying something because the Mortuary Assistant is like the perfect movie, like the perfect game to adapt with like a low budget. You know what I mean? And yet it still felt like they didn't have enough money, especially when it comes to the scary demon guy on the poster here. God, he looked terrible in the dark, and the final shot of the movie is like literally this rubbery ass dude in the sunlight, like swaying and dancing. It was real bad. Oh my gosh. But it was really funny. I was laughing I was laughing during this movie, and the theater was getting pissed. I tried to start laughing a little, like try to hold my laughter in a little more, but Jesus Christ, it was really bad. Okay, anyway, let's move on here, guys. We got some games to play.